Okay, so you just came home from a paint night and you're like flying high because you had a great time and you did a painting. That's awesome. But now it's a couple days later and you're looking at it and thinking, I don't know if this is good enough to put on my wall. It's like so-so. Well, most paintings take longer than a couple hours to complete. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to elevate your paint night painting. So get your painting, get your paints, and let's go. Okay, so here's my painting. It's dry and I like it, but it definitely looks rushed. There are parts of the painting that I'm like, I like this part, and other parts I'm like, I'm not too happy about that. So that's kind of what I want to take. I want to take a piece that I'm kind of happy with, but not in love with. So if you have a piece that really bothers you, like the whole thing, you don't like anything about it, you might just want to redo that, which just put gesso and redo. But this piece, that's not where I'm at with this piece. This video is going to help you take a piece that you like, but you can tell is rushed in certain elements. And so the first step is to figure out which parts of the painting you like, which you think you're successful, and which parts you think look rushed or need to be improved. So that's what we're going to do. So that's the first step. So I'm going to take the first step, and also my painting is dry, so this isn't the same night as the paint night that I did it. I also think that's good to take a little break so that you can clear your mind. Take a little break so you can clear your mind and find out what the right thing is to do. Okay, let me redo that. I think it's also nice to take a little break, clear your mind so that you come to this with a refreshed mind, a refreshed perspective. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and by going through mine, hopefully that will help you go through yours and go through this process so you can figure it out. I'm always happy to help people though. If you want to contact me and get some help, I'm happy to help people improve their art and all of that. So as I look at my piece, I like the composition. I think that is an important step. If I didn't like the composition, I might just want to redo this. I like the rocks. I think the rocks are pretty good. I might not do too much with those. We'll see. This down here really bothers me. These really bother me. Just looks rushed. I need more layering in there. I need more precision. It just looks messy, and I don't like some of the brush strokes down there. And those are some things I can definitely improve upon. Up here, it's okay, but you can definitely tell it was kind of rushed. And so I would like to add just a little more detailing in there, just to make it feel a little nicer. The other thing I want to do is, look at this edge. I'm going to paint the edge black, and that's going to give it a nice, clean, finished look. I used to not paint the bottom because I thought, oh, when it's on a wall, you're seeing the sides the most, but you might actually see the bottom and top. And so I am going to from now on, actually I've been doing this for a while now, but painting the edges is my last step. After everything's dry, that's my last step before I varnish it, should I decide to do that. So the other thing is, when I note right here, I didn't take it all the way to my edge. So if I'm painting this edge, I might want to consider putting more paint along here, and just for future reference for myself, make sure that I do that. Especially this canvas has a bit of a curved edge to it. I'm not going to want to paint my black edge up to that rim. I'm probably going to want to just paint it up to this rim. So I might want to keep a little eye out for that. I don't mind the background. The background's so-so. It's not amazing. But if I fiddle around with that, then I'm going to have to mess with this. So I'm not too keen on that. So that's kind of your first step. Okay, the second step is getting your paints ready, getting a paint tray, getting your glasses of water for cleaning your brushes, and making sure you have an array of brushes that you're going to need for this and your paint. So some of it I'm going to use my fluid acrylics. These are going to need a little shake. So I'm definitely going to use some of these mixed in with probably some, medium viscosity acrylics as well. So this is all acrylics. So shaking up. If you're using a fluid acrylic, you do need to shake that up. Shake these up. I recently discovered fluid acrylics. I hadn't used them before. And I'm like, I need to try these. Saw a few on sale, got a few colors. They look like Halloween colors. And they're a lot of fun. They're really highly pigmented, so you can still dilute them and kind of extend them. Because I thought this, they're kind of expensive. And I thought, that's not going to last me a long time, compared to one of these. But actually, I think you probably get more from this than you do from this. So that's a little side note. But anyways, let's get started with selecting our paints. So I'm going to get my paint colors. Yours are going to be different based on what you need to do. I don't know what your painting looks like, so I can't tell you exactly what colors, but that's okay. I'll get my colors, get your paints, let's meet back. All right, this is going to be a bit of a challenge because you're not going to be able to follow me exactly because you have your own painting. But hopefully through some of my instruction and by watching how I'm going about this, you'll be able to utilize that information with your piece that you're working on. So I started in this area, then this is the area that bothers me the most. It just looks too rushed, and I don't like that the paints aren't blending together because acrylics dry quickly. So if you have an area that dries and you didn't blend in some colors, it's gonna have a bit of a messy look, or it just didn't look right for me. So in we go with some medium colors. I've mixed in some green, yellow, and raw sienna. But again, these colors aren't going to be very helpful to you because your painting might be totally different. I do actually suggest trying to use similar colors as to what you used in the class because you might actually not have the same color paints. So try to match the color because it's actually not easy to get 100% match anyways. So if you try to match the color, you're probably going to get a color that's going to blend well with the colors that are already there. Maybe it's a little bit different. Perfect. We actually want it to be a little bit different. So that will help to blend in. So you can see that I'm creating a little bit more of a story in here, a little bit more just detail as I add in little layers. And I've kind of made the ripples closer together, a little bit smoother. There's more going on. That's what I mean by there's more story going on there. I also want to keep in mind what's already there visually. So I'm keeping those rocks there in that place. The little bits of flowers or foliage that have fallen down, those are in place as well. And so I want to listen to those things and follow suit. So that's what I mean when I say like listening to your canvas. I mean, my canvas isn't actually speaking to me with words, but there's already visual items there that I've placed, yes, but now I have to work with those things. So that's what I mean by listening to your canvas. What is it saying to you? This object is here. Where is the light? Where is the shadow? What will be surrounding this object? What is its story? Is it a moving object? Is there movement in the image? All of these things kind of come into play when you're, adding more visual information, because every little visual thing you add is telling part of the story. And whether that's a realistic image or you're doing some kind of surrealist image that doesn't make sense, that's up to you. But if you're going for realism, you do need to consider what would realistically be there according to what's going on. Is there any wind? Is that going to affect, if there's water on this ground, is it water? Is it ground? Is it something that is affected by wind? Is it wet? Is it dry? All of these different factors. And also trying to think of what time of day is it. Different types of light will show. If you've ever watched a sunrise or sunset, the lighting changes, like the intensity, but also the coloring of everything around it. So it takes time to kind of learn that, especially if you don't have a reference image. And that's why I use a reference image most of the time, especially because my brain, it kind of likes to go wherever. So I have a very creative mind, and sometimes that can mean I have too much going on in my brain, and it's easier to have something to give me some stability. So right now I've started going in with some orange. It's not just plain orange. I've mixed in my orange, and I do recommend, mixing your colors a little bit so it's not just the solid color, unless that's the style you want to go for. But if you're going for more realistic, typically we don't have just really vibrant, bold colors in life. But there are times, yes, but you do usually have a blend of the color somewhat. And I do find to get realistic looking foliage and landscapes and everything, you do need to mix a little bit. So I went for pink. I was just feeling like the orange just didn't seem quite strong enough. So I was like, you know what, let's have fun with this and add some pink. And don't be afraid to have some fun. Add in a little bit here, a little bit there. Now, I'm not going to tell you which brushes I'm using because it doesn't really matter what you use. Although, if you are adding detail, I do really love using a 1/4 inch angle brush, which is what I've used most of this time to work on this piece. I do have a little fan brush there as well, but I like the control that a 1/4 inch angle brush gives me. If you're working on a larger piece or larger area of your piece, you might want to go with a bigger brush, but I do like these angle ones. If you haven't tried it, give it a go and see if you like it. So then I started getting into it. There's a moment sometimes where you might feel lost, and then you might get into a moment where you feel a groove happening. And I was starting to feel a groove, and I was starting to do these little dashed lines, and it was creating movement. Like there was a little bit of wind coming from one direction, and that got me a little bit excited, and it got me into this kind of headspace of feeling the piece and enjoying it. So I'm going to add a little bit of some other colors here to balance it out, and I'm going to use a script liner brush. So script liner brush is a really fun brush. Another one, if you haven't tried and you like to do detailed work, you got to try it. And also I use it to sign my paintings, so it's a really great one. So you definitely should try if you haven't yet. So I wanted to add in some darkness back into the piece where I had added a lot of light kind of on top. So there's a bit of a back and forth thing going on, and that happens in painting and drawing just to help get that realistic depth, because you're not just going to have black in the back and then light in the front. There's going to be blends, there's layers, there's all kinds of things going on. So this really helps it look more full and just gives it volume and continues that feeling of movement. Then I decided to go in with some highlighting, like I said, this back and forth. And I want you to think about that back and forth. Be careful when you're doing your back and forth. Just do little tidbits. Like the smallest little thing can really add the detail that was needed, that was missing, to make your piece sing, rather than just like, oh, it looks good. Like maybe now it's getting that feeling that's like, oh, like it's speaking to me. Like I feel it. I feel something exciting. That's where we want to get to. And so sometimes it's with very minute changes. And that's why I'm using this little tiny brush here to make those changes, because I don't want to overdo it. I want my piece to, you don't want to go past a certain point either. Do I think this piece is perfect? No. I might have done things differently in the future if I was going to do this again, or if I had to redo this, I might do it differently. I think I started getting a little too much of this white going in. I was having a little too much fun, I think, with that. But all in all, I did have fun with the process, and I do think it elevated my piece. And that's the key thing. We want to elevate it. So now I'm going to go back in with some yellow, because yeah, I went a little bit much with the white, it feels like, and adding in a little bit of that yellow helps me to feel back into the color. And also just there was areas where the black was showing, it just didn't fit well. So I was kind of going in with this yellow to try to take that down a notch and bring up the notches of that yellow, that vibrant background that comes through that I just love. So again, I'm still using that script liner brush, going through, finding the areas that just stand out in a bad way. It's really part of what the visual practice that is part of your, art practice is looking at a piece and trying to figure out what its problems are and then creating solutions for it. And if you don't take breaks in between, you're going to probably mess it up. So I probably needed a break and wasn't taking a break and went a little wild with these highlights, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I think maybe I could have done a little bit more of kind of the orangey pink color and not done too much with that light. So I feel ready to sign my piece with my script liner brush. If you feel ready to sign it, do it. Go for it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can keep making pieces that are better and better each time, okay? So let's take a look at, the edge. Haha. This part, if you finish your edge, it will take your piece from an 8 to a 10, or take your piece from a 7 to an 8, or, it'll take it up at least a notch, okay? So I really enjoy doing this for my pieces. You can paint the side of your piece while you're going, but that's just not how I like to roll. I mean, the front is the painting. I don't want to spend so much time focusing painting precisely on the sides of my canvas, but that's just me. Well, it's not just me. I know other artists that feel the same way. But I'd like to take a black and just paint the edge. I use a 3/4 inch, or is this a 1 inch? 1 or 3/4 inch, depending on the size of your canvas. But a nice longer angled brush will help to give you a straight line. It'll help you to do that. And I use my pinky along the back to try to guide my hand along to try to keep it straight. It's not going to be perfect straight, but it will do. It's sufficient for my needs. So then I just do the whole thing, and then I have it resting on a wood block so that it's not, gonna stick to my desk, to my counter here, workspace, and it'll allow it to dry, because I do like to try to get the bottom part of that edge painted as well. And here we go. Here is the end result. It was really fun finishing this piece, and I'm really glad I took the time to do it so that I have more joy when I see this piece. All right, what do you think? Do you love your painting? Let's put it on the wall, celebrate, share it with me. Tag me at KmoArtYYC on Instagram with your painting. I want to see it. Do it. Come on, be brave. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning acrylic paints, drawing, and using watercolor, stick around, subscribe, and make sure you've hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of this good stuff. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye now.